Welcome to the DeFi Standard. This is Patty XRP
Mickey Fresh.
and today we're going to give some updates with iTrust Capital, along with what they'll be doing with Flare and Songbird, and then also get into the official first listing that will occur for the Songbird token on the Bitrue exchange and kind of go through some considerations, talk about what is the estimated supply distribution to which kind of groups, and then, talk about potentially, what we think price could look like. But yeah, Mickey, you want to start us off with the iTrust news that we got from James Rule?
Sure. So James Rule, XRP, did an interview with iTrust Capital, and so did Darren Moore. So they both released interviews. We'll link them in the description below. Now, they basically said iTrust is going to be supporting Spark, and they're waiting on their liquidity providers regarding Songbird. So it looks like you're going to be able to receive them there, and you could actually see the Spark that you'll be receiving on your dashboard there at iTrust now. Now, when it comes to the integrations with using that Spark or that Songbird into the actual networks and FTSOs, they're looking into the integrations there. But the person they interviewed said it's likely that you'll have to take those off the platform to then utilize those, and those come with, potential tax implications. And nothing we say here is financial advice or tax advice, but that's something you want to talk to your CPA with. But what was nice that they said was they're looking into actually integrating potential DeFi. And the thing is they're a crypto IRA company, so they have an extra layer of compliance. So it's a little harder for them to integrate some of these things than it is for exchanges, because they have that extra layer of compliance they have to go through. So keep that in mind. They are working on potentially opening up trading and activity on their platform if there's liquidity. So since they use outside liquidity providers, it's based on that. But it's good to see that the community was able to rile up support there, and they're looking into actually integrating things like DeFi and network rewards. So that's good going forward that we have a crypto IRA company doing that for us.
Yeah, and I mean the question there, Mickey, is how long that takes. We do know that the SEC is getting more brazen with their their issuances on litigation and things like that, and their statements around DeFi and the crypto industry. So I mean, it's possibly something that could take a while. So people that have Spark or Songbird on iTrust are going to have decisions to make about, is that what you want to wait for that? Do you want to take a penalty for pulling your assets out early and things like that? But now is the time to, start considering what you want to do there. Neither me or Mickey have stuff on iTrust Capital. So, we're not involved as much as the inner workings. We know people that, have assets there and talk with them about what's going on. So we'll just have to see how that plays out, and it'll definitely eventually be decision time for some of the people there. So with that, Mickey, I think we can get into talking about the first day that Songbird is going to be available for purchase. And with that, I have this is my estimations on the distribution of Songbird that just occurred last Thursday when they launched the network. And so I believe that Flare Foundation should have 6.75 billion Songbird tokens. This is because they have an allocation of, I want to say it's 20% of the Spark token. So they get 20% of the Songbird token as well. But since there are no predefined reward pools for minting assets onto the Songbird network, those have now been given to the foundation. But this is all stuff that will be under Spark holder control. So if we wanted to create those in the future and there was enough people voting behind it, we could do it, or they could be used for other things in the future, or they could just stay with the Flare Foundation and be used to run their operations. So, I don't expect any of this to be on the open market on opening day. We don't even know much about the foundation, so it's probably just sitting in their wallets. And you can go on the Songbird Explorer and look at some of the top accounts, and it looks like Flare Foundation has a couple different wallets with a couple billion split between each of the Songbird tokens. And then moving forward, Flare Limited is getting 25% of the total supply, which equates to 3.75 billion Songbird tokens rather. And so with that, looking through the Explorer, there's already been over 1 billion Songbird tokens wrapped as wrapped Songbird. So I'm assuming that a lot of that is the Flare Limited team because they have the most and they would have the know-how to start doing that. So that'll be interesting to watch. I don't know, what they plan to do with their Songbird tokens. I think they're definitely going to need some for testing out the F asset system on Songbird. Also, they're going to be, participating in the FTSO and that kind of stuff. And what we know from Flare Limited is that they are looking to utilize their assets to earn yield and, pay back their investors basically, or earn them return for the money that they put behind the Flare Limited corporated entity. So it's not that they had investors directly in the Flare network. It's that a lot of these investors that we know are backing Flare are backing their team, their corporation that's going to be a participant on the network. And then, so with that, that brings us to the estimation of how much Songbird is going to go to XRP holders. This is around 30% of the total supply. We actually don't know the final claim number. So this one's, really particularly up in the air until they release that information. But I think it should be around 4.5 billion Songbird tokens going to XRP holders as an estimate. So don't take that as a hard and fast number. And if this number is actually lower for XRP holders, that would raise the Flare Foundation holdings, because any unclaimed Spark tokens, which would also mean unclaimed SGB tokens, would go into the general F asset rewards pool. However, we don't have that on Songbird, so that goes to the foundation. So hopefully that can clear things up with some of the supply and where it's going to be. So for me, Mickey, this means that 4.5 billion I think is definitely in play to be sold. Obviously not everybody is going to sell in that grouping, but I think this is where the majority of the Songbird on the open market is going to come from. And then I wouldn't be shocked if Flare Limited lent some of their Songbird tokens to market makers so that they can help make the market on Bitrue as that goes, that trading starts.
Yeah, no, that's a nice breakdown right there. So it gives you an idea. And now with the STSO, which is the Songbird Time Series Oracle, the inflation rate there is 10%, but it's 10% of that 15 billion per year. So that's 1.5 billion tokens will be distributed through the STSO that will be given for rewards. So when you delegate to the FTSO your votes, you'll be able to earn a percentage of those 1.5 billion for the first year. So where on Flare, it's going to be 10% of 100 billion. So you'll have 10 billion per year coming out. So we have a larger supply on the Flare network, but also more potential rewards to win. So just keep that in mind when the delegating does begin after the 27th. The rewards that you earn there won't be as large as they will be on the Flare network.
Yep, absolutely. And that has to do with the whole governance conversation that went on back in June about the distribution of the tokens. The staggered distribution over time actually raises the yield you could earn from the FTSO on Flare. And since everything on Songbird is distributed at once, that means that it's basically a flat APY over time, everything else equal without other kind of variables moving around. And with that, Mickey, so we do know that the planned list date is the September 27th, which is next Monday, so a week from now, and that's going to be on Bitrue. And so with this, Mickey, we don't know exactly what tokens that it's going to be listed against. I think my best guess is at this point is we'll probably see a listing against XRP, definitely Tether. Normally, that's one of the listed against like the most listed tokens as far as trading pairs. Maybe we see USDC, and I guess my other guess is possibly XLM. However, I don't know about that one. So this is what we're looking at as possible options. These two, I feel the most confident in my guess on that. Hopefully, maybe they put out some information throughout the week that gives us the exact pairs that we can use to trade into Songbird. So with this, Mickey, there's some things to consider. So if you don't have a Bitrue account already, you probably want to go ahead and get that set up just in case there's issues signing up. You need to do some verification or things like that. It will give you some time beforehand. We got a week until then. If you wait to do it Sunday night and maybe something happens with the account and then you can't access it for 5 days, potentially, you miss out on where you wanted to buy at. Maybe it works in your favor too. We can never really know which way it's going to go, especially with a brand new token. And then on top of that, if you are looking to, possibly purchase Songbird with fresh fiat that you don't currently have in the crypto or blockchain ecosystem somewhere, there's a lot of exchanges that people have to use to get money onto them that will make you hold your assets there for, 3 to 5 days potentially. So for me, last Friday, I there was some fiat that I want to use to maybe buy Songbird. I went ahead and bought USDT on Coinbase, and we'll be sending that over to Bitrue when it clears. Now, there's different ways you could do this. Like, some people may have a lot of XRP, and what you could do is trade that XRP into a stable coin now, and then just use whatever fiat that you were going to use to purchase a stable coin. Well, you could just go and purchase XRP with that fiat. So there's some different avenues to get over. I just would stress getting it set up now so that you're ready when that day comes. And if it comes out a price that you really want to purchase at, then you have the opportunity to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so now's the time to prepare for all this. We know Bitrue is the first exchange. Now, during this whole week, we could see other exchanges come out. So there's 4 different options these exchanges have right now on their Songbird. They're all receiving them. This is not a question of, don't ask the exchange if they're supporting or not supporting. They're getting the tokens if they're supporting Flare, right? And they decided to support Spark. 1 is they could distribute to you. 2, they could burn them, and that would be seen on the blockchain if they decided to do that. I don't know any exchanges that have decided that yet, but that's one of their options. The third option is to wait on the distribution, and this is possibly what some of them might do. It's possibly what Coinbase could do. If you haven't heard from them publicly, then you kind of assume it's number 3. And then number 4 is they just keep your tokens. Now, unfortunately, the Flare team, and there's nothing that we could really do about this, but those are the 4 options to ask. Like, for example, today on Flare's Twitter, Revolut responded with, well, we're not intending to support. That's a terrible answer. They just gave you 4 options. So ask them, and there's a screenshot, and I'll tweet it out, that these are their 4 options of what the exchanges can do. It's not support or support. It's one of these 4. So Bitstamp has already said we're going to distribute them. Bitrue has already said we're going to distribute them. So some exchanges out there have already said that. So those are what we need to get out of these exchanges. It's not a yes or a no answer. It's one of these 4. So I think we encourage everybody to reach out to them and say that to them. Say, you're holding my tokens. I want them. It's not about you supporting them. You're getting them. Now, them trading the listing of it and adding a pairing of Songbird to USD or Songbird to whatever asset, that's up to the individual exchanges. And they might not do that right away. But the integration for them just to distribute your tokens, they're coming into the same wallet. And even the guy from iTrust said this. He said, hey, they're coming into the same wallet. We're getting Spark. So we're going to just distribute them out. So iTrust is doing it. So there's no excuse why other exchanges should not do this. So I think we have to keep pressuring them as a community.
Yeah, and I would really focus on the distribution aspect of it because, like Mickey said, some exchanges may like use the word support as meaning they're going to list it on their exchange and be able to swap it between some other asset. Really, all you need them to do is just send the tokens to you or make a wallet on the exchange that you can access and then send it off the exchange if you want to use it. So distribution, I would say, is like the most important term. Whenever you ask support, that can mean different things to many different people. If you say, are you going to distribute this token to me? That's asking explicitly, are you going to give me the token that was part of my airdrop? So that's kind of like semantics, but it is kind of important when you're talking to some of these exchanges. That support really could mean anything. So if they give you a response in that way, it may not, be accurate or reflective of what they actually are going to do. So I think that part's really important. And it's also, maybe we have somebody like Coinbase and they release it a week after the date that they're supposed to because, hey, they see, okay, this is a live functioning network. People are, moving money around on it. People are swapping this asset. And they're like, okay, we'll distribute at this point. Yes, it isn't right at the beginning, which I know isn't ideal, but you could get them. And also the next thing is this token's price could be very low to start off with, Mickey. Like, my kind of ideal price point has been a penny or less that I've been kind of looking at for a while now. And that means if you, let's say you're due to get 1,000 Songbird tokens at a penny, I mean, what is that, like $10, Mickey? So, you
Yeah.
may be working yourself up about something that's really not that big of a deal. It's one thing if you have a million coming to you and you lose it, that's 10K, but really as a percentage of, what you probably already have, it's also not that much. So, if this was a Spark token, I would understand people getting really worked up, but, let it play out, see how things go. And, hopefully these exchanges come through. And some of them already are. So that's good to see.
And I also would expect heavy volatility in the beginning here when this trading does begin next week, because you're going to have this, rush of people that possibly could be selling. You could have a rush of people coming in to buy. So I would expect heavy volatility. And also, you got to remember, if you're going to be able to delegate to the SDSO, the early participation is going to earn the most rewards. That's just how it is. So there's no APY setting on the SDSO. It's not like, oh, I earn 11% APY. It's not set like that. It's based on how many people are participating. So the less people participating, the more rewards you can earn. So you have to balance that out also to if you were going to purchase at what price you're looking to buy. And if these exchanges don't distribute right away, that would mean less on the circulating supply too here. So what Patty's 4.5 billion here, now if half the exchanges don't distribute and 70% was claimed from exchanges, you could minus out $1 billion or $2 billion right there. So we don't know exactly how much is going to be truly available on the circulating supply, and we don't know if they're limited lent out some to market makers and liquidity providers to get those markets going. So it's going to be an interesting week. We know it's taking place next week, and we're finally there. So all of you who are waiting for this, this is the first step now. Trading is beginning, but trading is only one component of this. The network activity is where I think the community should be looking. Like, trading is important if you're looking to buy in or you're looking to exit. But besides that, everyone should be turning their attention to the network, because these assets are meant to be utilized, and they have utility out the gate, and they come with inbuilt yield at no risk. And it's very rare you see tokens with inbuilt yield and no risk. It's almost unheard of, because with staking, you have slashing risks and you're giving up custody of your assets. Now, when you wrap this Songbird token, it's not the same as wrapping like Bitcoin and bringing it to Ethereum. This stays on the Songbird network. It's just wrapping it into a smart contract and delegating that smart contract to the signal provider. So you still maintain custody of your asset.
Absolutely. And also just kind of a, final thoughts around, ways you could approach buying it. So one of my rules of thumb that works for me well is I generally will say, okay, if the Songbird, like, let's say I don't know where I want to buy, and let's say the max amount dollar wise that I'm willing to spend on a Songbird token, let's just say it's a penny basically per Songbird token. But let's say also I think that the price of Songbird is definitely going to go below that. So if it hits a penny in price, let's say it starts above a penny and it hits that, I definitely want to buy. So you can utilize limit orders on Bitrue. A limit order is something where you can say, if the price hits this amount, I want to execute a trade and buy this much like worth of it. And so that's something you can do. And also, like, maybe you have, like, let's say you have $1,000 to buy Songbird with, you could put $200 listed at this level. And then you're like, okay, well, if it goes to maybe 0.008, I want to put in another 50% or something like that. And you can layer your buys down. This is kind of similar to dollar cost averaging over time, but maybe it hits really quick just because the market's, going to be volatile for Songbird, as we see many times with, the first time listing, whether it's a stock, a crypto or anything else. Generally, volatility happens a lot in the beginning because there's just not enough time playing out to see what the market actually thinks about the asset. And so, I kind of like this layer strategy sometimes. And also I'll look at it, I'm like, all right, at what price, if Songbird hit that price and I didn't purchase and then it bounced right out of there and, to the upside, would I be upset with myself about it? And generally that'll be the highest price that I buy at for an asset. So, think about how, you can control your mental state with trading, especially like, we don't do this every day. Like, I'm not out here buying a brand new listing of tokens all the time. I assume probably a lot of people that listening aren't. So, find ways that'll keep you in a good mental space and also not having, have you lingering on bad decisions or, Monday morning quarterbacking yourself. So, kind of think of that stuff, beforehand. If the market falls more, maybe you can expect the Songbird price to come out cheaper than you originally thought. I mean, we just shaved off what, 20% off the total crypto market cap over the last 2 days, Vicky. So, it's possible it goes lower and the price is going to come out cheaper. Maybe the market rebounds and it comes out at a slightly higher amount. It's stuff to consider in your plan, and getting ready now, I think, is important. We got a week for you to kind of decide, based on market doing certain things or price coming out at a certain amount, what you're going to do. So I think having a plan beforehand is very important here.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Having the plan is very important. And then overall, like, if you're not looking to buy, then I wouldn't get too focused on the price. Like, people are going to say, oh no, where the bull market's ending and now Flare's launching and Songbird's launching. So what? It's a macro point of view. The activity long term, what's going to decide the value is not the spec trading on the market. That's not what the ultimate value of these assets are going to be. It's their on network activity and the utility. So the amount of Songbird that's delegated to the FTSO and Spark to the FTSO, and then the F assets minted. That's what will support their value then with Flare Network. So you got to remember, this is more, you have to look out, scope out, and see that long term, these values assets are going to be beyond just the trading market. But for the beginning here, like Patty said, you want to set up entry points if you're looking to buy, that's a mindset. But then after that, don't get too distracted by the market price of these things. And I know the community has a tendency to flood to Fiat Leak and flood to all these exchanges, but we need to transition our mindsets away from the exchanges a little bit and more to the on-network activity after that initial purchase. So after you do buy it, don't get too caught up in trying to swing trade it and day trade it. And that's not financial advice. Your best bet is to look to on the network to be able to compound your assets and compound your wealth that way instead of trying to just swing trade everything.
Yeah, that's the long-term strategy for sure. Yeah, I mean, by all means, if you're a good swing trader, props to you, because that takes a lot of balls to, be able to go in and sell at the right time. So, great job if you can do that. But for people like myself, I'm not great at always calling the right price points and all that stuff. And most people aren't either. So, this lets us earn even when the market's going down. And then Mickey, last thing as well, I'm going to, this is kind of like a cautionary thing, but please do not get in too much of a rush to set up all of the wallet stuff and, trying to find every which way, especially if you don't understand. Like, I know right now people that want to be able to see their assets on their Ledger Nano, you have to connect to MetaMask, which has multiple steps to it. We will put out a video guide on how to do that if it is necessary. I still have a hope that Ledger Live will make that Songbird application that lets you access your tokens production ready instead of just in developer mode. And that would enable you to be able to send your assets off the Ledger Live platform without hooking into MetaMask. So we're just waiting a few days, let Bifrost come out, see what that looks like. There's really no rush to have it set up today. Flare's even put out tweets about, avoiding scams. Don't be filling out Google forms online. Don't talk to random people you don't know on Telegram and Discord or Twitter DMs. Stick with people that are directly part of the project and are giving guidance on that stuff. And yeah, we'll have videos out when it's time. We're just trying to be patient with everything. This is the time where there's uncertainty and anxiety around setting things up. Especially with the nature of the Songbird network and it being a canary network. I think more things are up in the air, and it's, the first launch of it. So just have some patience and don't get too ahead of yourself. This is a long game. You got to stay in the right mental space and everything to make it through it. So I guess that would be my little cautionary tale there, Mickey.
Yes, and be careful of scams. And if you see on Telegram, especially, people are, impersonating Tom T or impersonating Hugo. Be careful of people who DM you first. Be very careful, and be careful to send links that you have to sign up and fill out things. Do not fall for these scams, please. And if you're not sure, like Patty said, ask somebody who you feel is trustworthy, and do not do anything until you get an answer from somebody you feel is trustworthy, or multiple people. like Patty said, there's no rush to do anything until Monday. So now we have a whole week to prepare for this, which I think is
Absolutely.
actually really good that we have a whole week to get ready and they didn't just rush us into 2 days. So I think a week is enough preparation time. And hopefully that app will come out, and Bifrost will also release their full production ready by the 27th.
Yep, it looks like they will. That's what they've been saying. So I'm excited to finally see what that looks like. And just one last thing, Mickey, here, and I'll include this website link in the description as well. So the Songbird Explorer is out. And if you can't see your tokens right now and you don't want to have to go through like a weird process to see them at this point, what you're able to do is put your Ethereum address that was used in the message key field during your claim. If you put it up here, it'll show you how many tokens are under your account. Additionally, there's some great stuff like right here, they have a token listing. So you can see all the different types of tokens on the network. We can see Flare Finance already minted their DFLR tokens. There's a million of them. Also, Wrap Songbird, we can see almost 1 billion have been wrapped so far. We can see that they're testing out the Flare loans system with Canary dollars being minted. I know like Tim Rowley even went on and minted some tokens just to test it out. Now look at this down here, Mickey. So this says 450 million Y Flare. Now, I don't know why that would be on Songbird Network. It's potentially, Flare Finance is testing this out, but also that's not the correct token supply that we know YFlare should have in the future. So, don't be going and buying YFlare right now if it starts getting listed somewhere. Those are like things to be, on the lookout for as far as people trying to scam you out of your money. So, it's possible Flare Finance is just testing here. I'm just saying, like, this is not what the supply would be. Also, it's not supposed to be on Songbird Network for trading or anything like that. This is an asset that will be on Flare. But this is a great resource, I think. Like, you can see top accounts. The transactions are actually pretty cool to watch because it gives you like nice little information on what type of transfer it is, our transaction and all that stuff. So just wanted to let people know this is out there now.
Yeah, it also showed the gas fees were like 0.06 Songbird, which is dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at very inexpensive transaction fees here for the gas. And then also looking at blazing fast speeds. I think it was like under a second per block or something like
Well,
that.
right now it's actually at 13. It started out much higher, but it's going down as more nodes come online. It's just because only a few have been online, and they're whitelisting the signal providers right now, and then they'll start letting in other people that like us that are running a node. So they're getting the people that are going to be running stuff on the network that's super pertinent to it up and running now with their nodes and validators, and then it'll start being open more to the general community. There's not really anything you can earn for running a node, so it's like a sunk cost. Unless you're going to be a validator, then there are ways to earn, but that's a lot more technically heavy, and you have to operate on some other blockchains as well.
Yeah, you would have to operate on multiple other blockchains: XRP Ledger, Doge, Litecoin, XLM, and Flare if you want to do that. So it's not just as simple as spinning up a node and we're going to earn like in some other networks. We're just spinning up a node basically to support the Flare network.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, Mickey, I think that'll wrap up our video today. This is the DeFi Standard. I'm Patty XRP.
And I'm Mickey B. Fresh.
And we'll see y'all in the next one. We're out.